Okay, 15.3. I'm hoping this is the last video. We'll see how that goes. Okay, so I'm going to explain a plain year versus a calendar year. Well, think about first of all a calendar. When you look at a calendar, it goes from January to December, right? If you're looking at one that's got the whole year on it. So that's a calendar year from January to December. And then a plain year is like, okay, if I just paid my first mortgage payment in June, then a year from now will be 12 months, right? So that's a plain year. 12 payments down the road is a plain year, and it doesn't matter when it started. So we've got the plain year versus the calendar year. Here's how this works. If it doesn't say calendar year, then it's a plain year. So it has to actually say the words calendar year, and then that's where the tricky part comes in. You have to figure that out based on calendar year. Okay, that's what I'm going to try to explain to you. So if the first mortgage payment was made in March, the first calendar year would have 10 payments, right? And you can vaguely see these months on here. It's kind of dim, but for January and February, we didn't pay a payment. Our first payment for our mortgage was in March. And so I think that makes sense, and you can of course count that up. So 10 payments for that calendar year. And then we're going to put a mortgage on so we can talk about this some more. Okay. Oh, this thing keeps moving over. Okay. So let's get this loan on our calculators, and then we'll mess with this calendar year thing. Okay. So 30-year loan, and it's going to be for $185,000 at 4.76%. All right, present value 185,000. Present value is 0. All right, so we're going to compute our payment. And you guys be sure and pause this if you want to check this out yourself. You have to make sure your payment matches mine of $166.16. All right, that's our payment amount. And then we'll try to mess with this calculator about some other stuff. Okay, so we've got our loan in. Keep it there, right? You can't clear out your loan, because if you clear out your loan, then you won't be able to use your amortization keys like you need to. Okay. So now it says, if the first payment of our mortgage example was due on June 1st, calculate the interest paid, principal paid, and remaining balance for the first 3 calendar years. Okay, so June 1st, you can actually count this on your fingers if you want to. June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So if you just counted that up with me, you will see that on year 1, we paid payments 1 through 7, right? And I'm just going to do this, you know, the long way on this to show you. Year 2 then starts with payment 8. And you can count this also. Just count it all the way up on your fingers, right? Count 12 months starting with 8, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and so on. And you're going to find that the second calendar year is payment 8 through 19. Now in your second calendar year, that's the whole year, January through December. And actually on these, if you subtract 19 minus 8, you get 11. But if you count them up, you're counting payment 8 and you're counting payment 19, and it's a total of 12 payments. And then calendar year 3, you'll want to read about this in your book also and see if that helps you out on this. Year 3 starts with payment 20, and that's in January, right? And it goes to, if you count these up, payment 31, right? So at the end of the third calendar year, we're on payment 31. Okay, so if we're going to look at interest paid and all of that for the first 3 calendar years, we're going to go from payment 1 to payment 31. All right. So that's what you're going to put in for your beginning and ending payments, right? Make sure you use your enter key to get those in there. And then scroll to balance, principal, and interest. So your balance is 177, 352.45. Recall that this mortgage was $185,000. So at the end of paying on our mortgage for 31 payments, this is where we're going to be. That's at the end of the third calendar year, which ends in December of that year because we're talking about calendar years. And then an interest is $7,647.55. And interest of $22,000. Here's the sad part, $303.41. We just paid $22,000 in 31 payments toward interest. That doesn't get us anywhere. I mean, you know, it's the reality of having a loan, and our loan only reduced by the principal amount. So it's just how it is, you know. It's kind of sad, but that's how it works. Okay. We'll come back to some calendar year stuff here in a few minutes. So Altoid got a mortgage several years ago to 6.5% interest. He currently owes $76,839.49. His monthly payment is $1,204.74. $256.65 of this payment goes towards taxes and insurance. How many more payments until the mortgage is paid off, and how long is this in years? Now, go back and reread that, right? Pause, reread, make sure that you understand what I was just saying. We are going to take our $1,204.74 and subtract $256.65 to see what our payment needs to be that we're putting in our TVM keys. So $948.09. Okay, so that is our payment amount. We need to know that in order to figure out how much time is remaining. We of course want to get to a zero, future value of 0. It said that our present value was $76,839.49. It is positive because that was a loan, remember? And then we put in our interest rate of 6.5 divided by 12. Okay, so now we compute in, and that's going to tell us how many more payments we have left. And when we compute in, we find that it's 107. We're going to divide that by 12, and that's how much more time we're paying, 8.92 years. So almost 9 more years for that loan. And that's just showing you what happens with a partial payment. Okay, and then on the next slide, I've got the X's in here now. What was the total amount of interest that Altoid paid on this part of his loan? Remember, this was only part of the loan because he had been paying already. So it turns out that this part of the loan was 107 payments. So we're going to say from payment 1 to payment 107, and payment 1 was somewhere after he had already gotten the loan for several years. So we're going to look at this total amount of interest paid just for this part, and then that means that you're scrolling to find the amount of interest, and it is $24,609.62. All right, and so that's it for that particular loan. Okay, we're going to put in the next loan and do some more with our amortization keys. So get this all on your calculator. I'm going to kind of run through this quickly. Interest rate of 6.7. What am I doing interest rate yet? How about number of years first? That would be good. Yeah. Interest rate, I was just staring at the interest rate, I guess, so I was going to put that on. It's a 25-year loan, so that's why I have a 25 on there. Our principal that we're borrowing is $250,000, future value of 0. We're going to compute our payment. please pause so that you can make sure that you are putting everything in here correctly. Your payment has to match mine for us to use the TVM keys and get the same answers anyway. All right. This is the part we computed right there. Okay. So now we're going to go talk about some different types of things to look at and number of payments. Okay. If the first payment was made on September 1st, how much interest was paid during the first calendar year? Okay. So September, October, November, December, pretty easy to count up. 4 payments. So the first calendar year would be from payments 1 to 4. Right? And the amount of interest in, all you have to do is click, remember, second PV gets you into the amortization keys, and the amount of interest is $5,572.45. All right. And then it says, what is the total interest paid during the second calendar year? Well, the second calendar year starts at payment 5. Now you can count this up, or you can add 11 to the 5, and this will work out correctly every time, and you'll be at payment 16. The amount of interest paid is $16,538.36. All right, so that's calendar year 2. Right? It's based on the first calendar year. The only way we can get it right on the second one is to get the first one right. And then next, what is the total interest paid during the 9th calendar year? And hint, remember the counting shortcut. Okay, so the counting shortcut has to do with having the payments 5 and 16 in there, right? We already have this on our calculator, and that's year 2. So for year 3, you're going to push compute 3, compute 4, compute, there's 5, compute 6, compute 7, compute 8, compute 9. So if you do this correctly, right, you had to hit your compute key after you've got the second. It has to be the second year in. If you did this right, these are the numbers that you will have on there, right, 89 to 100. And the amount of interest paid then for the 9th calendar year is $14,096.85. And then it says, what will the balance of the loan be when will the balance be half of the original amount borrowed? Now, this is just a tricky thing, and this is a place where you can pause it and spend some time on this, because it will take you some time to figure it out. You're trying to see when your balance will be around $125,000, and that's around payment 206 to 207. If you look at 206, it is $125,486.02. I always do this with my CETA class just for some fun. And then payment 207 would be at 124. You can't get this exactly perfect. 726. Okay, I'm getting close on time here because I can't go over. And then on the last one, I'm just going to fill in the numbers and you guys can kind of work on it. How much principal will we have paid toward the loan? Half and 3/4 of the way through. And so because this was 300 payments, it was a 25-year loan. Halfway through will be payment 1 through 150. 3/4 of the way through will be payment 1 through 225. If you divide 300 by 4, you see that there's 75 payments in each quarter. Okay, and so let me get the numbers on here because I'm running out of time. So 75,637.26 and 144,874.54. All right, I got to stop this video. This was just for fun, so don't get too stressed out.